Welcome to Vol Stars, where we talk everything markets and those who make them. Today's episode brought to you by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. From decades of enabling the spread of viruses to every computer on the globe, to a decade of spreading venereal diseases to Melinda, nobody knows more about viruses than Bill Gates. But Bill's not just the problem, he's also the solution, forcing weekly updates on all Windows users and slipping antibiotics to his wife without her knowledge. Between John McAfee and Jeffrey Epstein, no one has worked with more eccentric, rich perverts to enable the sustained proliferation of viruses around the globe than Bill Gates. And also brought to you by Microsoft. Let our solutions today be your problems tomorrow. And finally by GammaStrike.com, providing actionable real-time data for every type of trader. You've tried the rest, now try the best. GammaStrike.com. I'm JFresh, and I'm joined by our co-hosts Gherk and Dork. And I would just like to say I've been thinking all day about changing the GammaStrike.com little kind of like little one-liner. I would like to propose GammaStrike.com options tools for options tools.
Ooh.
You could use
I don't know if people
there too, fairly effectively.
Do we want to talk about that?
Definitely 80% of the way there. I wanted to do a new thing this week. I thought we could all discuss what happened to us over the last week, so our audience can keep up to date on what's going on in our lives.
My life is incredibly boring. What do you want me to say?
Something big happened to you, Gherk. What was it?
Oh no, you guys first. How was your week, JFresh?
My week was great. I met Lord Nukerton, much to Dork's.
One of our head developers.
Yeah, Dork was very. He's moving to Tejas. He literally showed up. He's been in Texas for like 3 days, and the first thing I did was I walked him back into the woods and showed him an armadillo.
Is that innuendo for your penis?
No, it's an actual armadillo, and this one was like, I mean, usually they're surprisingly like not skittish. Like you'd think that maybe they'd be like any other little rodent type thing, and they'd be pretty skittish. And if you like move too fast, they're just gone. But they're like kind of, I don't know, like they almost seem like mentally challenged, and they just like aren't quite sure what it is you are. But anyway, I was able to get close enough to it, and for whatever, I just wanted to like just kind of touch its shell with my foot, just to like feel it, not put any weight on it. Like I'm not a psychopath, but just kind of feel like, how thick is this? And I don't want to use my hand because I don't know what an armadillo does to a hand. So I used my, shoe cladded foot, and I just touched its back, and it just like pushed against it with all of its legs with probably like 30 pounds of force, which for a little armadillo, I was not expecting that. Like it almost knocked me off balance. I was really impressed. And then I just kept like kind of sniffing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think that it had that much meat in their legs. But that thing really...
they're covered in armor. And then they've got more leprosy than Bill Gates could shake his dick at.
The weirdest thing about armadillos is like their eyes. They just have really like red inflamed eyes. They look exactly like Donald Trump's lips.
Oh. Donald Trump's lips look like Donald Trump's eyes.
Yeah, so just imagine. Yeah, I know, I've seen that. But just imagine like Donald Trump doing this little like lip thing. Like that's an armadillo eye. Nobody can see that because I'm hiding behind a cartoon of myself because I'm afraid of the world.
That's okay. Dork, right. What about your week, man?
I spent some time developing some stuff with JFresh, and then I just kind of went off on my own and did some stuff with it, made some progress, but my life is incredibly boring, so nothing interesting really happened.
I don't really give a shit what happened to Ron. Well, you guys know how they've been escalating ICE activity in the Northeast, right?
Yeah.
So something crazy fucking happened.
Just we're acting like it.
I know we put some boats nearby.
Ooh.
Yeah,
boats.
We did. We put some boats nearby, and Iran is really quickly like, let's talk.
Did
That's
you
what's going
guys
on.
see the new talking head for the DOJ because they don't want to put Pam Bondi's creepy ass on screen anymore because she's been just too disingenuous with the public?
Who's the new one?
They found a guy with a milk toast face and a furrowed brow who definitely has a daughter, and he cares about her and his wife probably a lot. And that's why he said there's no evidence that Trump had inappropriate contact with his victims.
His
With his
victims?
victims?
That's a quote. That's a quote from his first DOJ press conference.
Wait, that's a
discussed,
quote.
Is
You're
this
not just,
Rudy
like,
Giuliani? Only
you're not
Rudy
just being
Giuliani could fuck up that bad.
Is this no? Not is this Rudy Giuliani? Is this Rudy Giuliani with hair dye dripping down his face in front of the Four Seasons landscaping company?
He might
Rudy
be
Giuliani?
Rudy Giuliani 2.0.
Sounds like it.
Did he actually say Trump's victims?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go look that up. Ron, you need to look that up because that's a pretty. I don't want to get Trump's feeling real litigious lately. I don't want to get caught. Not that. I mean, I know he listens sometimes, but hopefully he doesn't listen to this one.
I hope he does listen to this one because I'm just going to come out there and say it. You need to do the rebates for the tariffs now before the refunds happen. Boom. Economy boosted. And I don't know. That's it. I get money. Also, stop banging kids.
Okay, but do the money thing first. Yeah, Ron's just like, move it along,
Well, okay.
please. All right, back to Iran.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason anybody gives a single shit about Iran at all, unfortunately, is oil. And oil went up recently, but everybody thinks
It's down 5%, and
it's down
yeah.
now.
Can't have it going up above 70.
But everybody basically thinks that oil's going to kind of just be flat all year. Nobody's bullish oil. There's a lot of supply. We've been in a recession, I think, for 2 years, so nobody's using a lot of oil. Any thoughts on what's going to happen to oil in the short term? I feel like some of it too, it's hard to say because we've had so much move in other commodities recently that some of that could just be caught up in the crosshairs of that.
I think that's a little bit of it. I do think that oil demand has been not the greatest for the past long time. So yeah, I don't disagree with flat necessarily unless geopolitical tensions go up even more. But I mean, it would take something pretty major to actually make oil go above like $80, I would think. Because at this point, there's plenty of supply. We're drilling. We got Venezuela going on. Like, I mean, it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, okay. So Greenland was a nothing burger. Is Iran going to be more of nothing ever happens? I mean, even if something does happen. I mean, we already sent a bunker buster over there, right? And nobody cared.
Well, didn't we blow up their nuclear facility?
Allegedly, we think
Allegedly.
we did. Yeah.
Just
Or at
bits
least
of it.
the water treatment plant for Iran.
Couldn't think of a single.
I assume they only have one.
Yeah, it's just the federal global water treatment facility. Great, yeah. don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't start naming cities in Iran because it's gonna feed into the people thinking I'm Persian thing.
well, you are Persian, but let's lay off of that.
Hey,
it's
Persian, Italian, American.
Yes, but I honestly, it's clear that Trump is just going after oil deals, right? I mean, the Venezuela thing, oil play, this oil play. So he's got this obsession with oil and trying to get it on the cheap, and he's using the military to basically is like his what do they call it? Like the henchmen, I guess. What do you call those guys who show up and intimidate you in an extortion racket?
Ice.
Tough
Yeah.
guys? No, when you're in the mafia, not when you're the government. I think they're called tough guys or
Mooks? I
something.
don't know.
But yeah, he's got
Muscle?
the muscle. Yeah, he's bringing. So he's using the military as the muscle to show up and stare at you while they talk about this deal they're going to make that is obviously not good for you. He's doing that with Iran.
Okay, so before we transition to talking about China, we could talk about let's unpack this obsession with oil a little bit. I mean, Biden also had an obsession with oil. He didn't make it as explicit, but he understood that save the oil, save the inflation, right? It's like save the
I don't think he
cheerleader,
understood
save the
anything.
world.
I think he just
Did
did
any
what
of you
his
guys watch
advisors
that
said.
show on NBC from like 15 years ago, or maybe even more now? It was like Heroes or something. I don't remember what it was called. It was like Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. They just
Oh
said it
yeah,
like
those
every
heroes. Yeah.
episode. Yeah. Sell the oil, save the world. If you keep oil low, you keep a lid on rampant inflation, which is what Biden did, right? He sold off all of our strategic petroleum reserves, which we still haven't refilled and probably never will.
Well, maybe that's Trump's play, is to refill the reserves.
Maybe, I mean, if he okay, I'll give him this, just to try to be neutral. If he found a way to fill our reserves with reasonably good quality crude by basically just taking it, and he gets away with it, that would be monumentally valuable. I mean, it'd be insane.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a nationalist agenda, so it only makes sense that that would involve amassing natural resources like oil.
Yeah, but the problem I see right now is that even though everybody from the last president to this one has been working to keep oil prices low, we're still having trouble, especially at the producer level. I mean, did you guys see those PPI numbers?
I did.
I kind of want your thoughts on those numbers, because those were alarming to me, at least. And I know the Federal Reserve is just kind of playing it off as they don't want to say the word transitory because they already kind of used that one and it burned them. So they're trying to say transitory without saying transitory.
Well,
Oh, dude,
But-
core PPI 0.7%, dude, it's fine.
Yeah, we've been
I mean, it's temporary.
well until it rolls over to CPI, right? But yeah, I mean, those PPI numbers are obviously very high. I mean, I think even X food, energy, and trade, it was 4% month over month for December, or 0.4. And that ended up being flat over the prior month. But significant month over month increase. So like the year over year stayed pretty flat. But yeah, the changes in core PPI and like just straight up PPI were huge, and definitely against the grain of what was expected. So I mean, pretty bad. I think, was it PPI was 0.5, core PPI was 0.7. I mean,
Yeah.
this is obviously like the realization of what we've been talking about regarding, the uptick in the prices of everything upstream of Nvidia, and then the uptick in prices for everything for all this data center rollout. Did you happen to take a look at the breakdown by any chance?
I actually did not. Unfortunately, I haven't had time. Usually when I see CPI, PCE I don't really care about, but CPI I like to look at the breakdown, but I didn't look at this one. But we can pull it up real quick and see if there's anything notable.
Yeah, I'm trying
Yeah,
to pull it up right now.
I thought I thought something that was kind of interesting. So I'm just scrolling down to see if I can find the exact number on this. But there was
Yeah, so let's see. We've got final demand goods, which are the ones that are just ready to go out to consumer facing operations. And yeah, I mean, you've got here the thing with it is that like you get such dramatic swings that it's hard. The variance is so high. So like for example, eggs, 12-month percent change minus 48%. But then you also have processed turkeys up 65%, right? And so it's like how do you zero down on like what's the fraction of a percent change, or few percent change year over year? Roasted coffee up 25% year over year, so I'm not going insane. They can stop gaslighting me. I knew roasted coffee's been going up a lot because the numbers were notable. I mean, I normally, price of food goes up fractions of a dollar and you almost don't notice. But if I'm buying like a can of espresso beans and it's $14 and then a month later it's 16 something, I'm going to notice that shit.
Oh shit! Slaughter hogs down 10%.
Machinery and
Oh.
machinery and vehicle wholesaling up 5.8%. Furnishings up 3.7%. So a lot in durable. Apparel, jewelry, footwear 4.2%. Computer hardware, it says declined 0.4.
Is that year over year or is that month over month?
That's from November to December.
Yeah, okay.
That's the hedonic adjustments. The computers are getting better, all right? Because of AI.
Like our last discussion about TVs, based on my buying experience in college 20 years ago, buying a 13-inch TV for $100, you should be able to get a 15-inch screen somewhere for $2, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, natural gas to electric utilities 9.6% from November to December.
No, what? I'm seeing
Yeah.
is that final demand or intermediate demand?
This is the final demand.
Because I'm seeing residential natural gas up 2.1% month over month.
I'm seeing natural gas
Oh wait,
liquids
this
up
is seasonally
34.8.
adjusted though.
That's intermediate though.
Yeah. Anyway, like the year over year on natural gas is 11. The year over year on electric power is 6. Gasoline's somehow down 10%. I don't know if that's true. I feel like I've been paying at Costco. I've been paying $2.20 and change for a year at least.
Hmm.
I don't use regular gas. I use Supreme, which is just the same price. It's always.
I'm rich. I live in New York City. I smell my own farts.
No, he's using Supreme because he has a car that needs to run on it because he's dumb.
Oh,
That's all.
Yeah,
if you fill a regular car with Supreme, you're basically going to end up with like adverse effects for your vehicle's performance. It's meant to run on a specific octane, and when you do too high of an octane and it runs rich, it could actually cause I think it causes like a knock or something.
That's if you run too low octane.
All right, we're a car podcast now. I can't even get
natural
gas. Words out.
So stage 2 intermediate demand, natural gas is 34.8%.
Cool. That's cool and awesome.
From November to December.
I think that has to do though with the crazy winter storm. They were starting to smell it, but no, that was January.
That's November to December.
Yeah.
Would show up.
There's nothing then. Yeah.
God, I can't wait to see my natural gas bill after what happened here in Texas.
You know what's really cool? They're fresh and dry vegetables down 20%.
I'll take it.
Oh.
But I mean, yeah, the 12-month changes, like oil seeds at 11.2% increase, processed turkeys 65.5, roasted coffee 25%, footwear 2.5%, tires 3%. Let's see, iron and steel scrap at 4%, pumps and compressors 8.5%, industrial material handling equipment 6.8%. That seems somewhat significant. Truck trailers 6.4%. Sporting and athletic goods 2.2. Cigarettes up 11%. Jewelry up 22.8%. Services prices, anything crazy there?
Traveler
Hardware, building
accommodation
materials, and
services are up
supplies
7%.
10.8, and books up 10.9. That's it, people. Stop reading.
Yeah.
Ooh, portfolio management up 16.7%.
Woo!
Yeah. Ooh. Finally.
Yeah, we
That's
got
what
to
it's
get
all
people
about.
on GammaStrike.com before it all blows up. Yeah, I'm just trying to look for things that are down, which is
Motor vehicle
probably
repair up 9.3%. Ooh, that's bullish for AutoZone and O'Reilly.
so.
People
Final
will
demand
start.
services are kind of interesting because those are kind of down. So, like, final demand trade services down. Oh, well, super up this last month. Like, so year over year down minus 2.1%, but over the last month up 1.7%, which is kind of insane. And like machinery and equipment parts and supplies wholesaling, up 10.8, up 3% month over month.
Ooh, softwood is slightly cheaper than hardwood. So
I don't
you
know if
have
I'm a
to
fan
pick.
of softwood.
Automobile retailing down year over year 16%.
Tax prep and planning up 8% year over year.
I love that, like, people are just tuning in and they're just going to get an hour of numbers. We're just going to be saying numbers. Most of them are going to have one significant digit after the decimal point. Some will have one before the decimal point. Some will have two. So
Well,
get
let's
ex-
talk.
get
Let's talk geopolitics. Let's move away from the absurd prices
yeah.
and
Okay.
talk
So
talk
but
about.
okay.
Well, you go ahead.
Question: how
Yeah.
much of this is really actually tariffs and actually transitory, and how much of this is just we've run the long course of multiple years of shorting the shit out of oil to bring down the price of everything because you need oil to get everything, to make everything, and then to get everything to market.
Yeah.
And how much of this is really like actually just tariffs?
Well, oil's up like from like $52 a barrel to like 65 now, which is inflationary. And so a couple months of that, and I mean, we're not going to be able to tell.
I think that's kind of my point. It's like narrative follows bias. Like you
Yeah.
craft the narrative to explain the bias you have.
I mean, prices have already been up with oil down, so it just seems like it's like tossing fuel on the fire. Literally
Yeah.
gasoline.
Wait, would you say we're lighting gas on fire? We're gas lighting everything?
Oh, wow.
Oh shit.
Mind
Careful with
blown.
I went there. Yeah, we're a woke, body positive podcast.
You're just saying that because you're fat.
I'm saying that because I'm on Ozempic, so I can be fat because I'm not going to be fat for long.
That's true. That's true. You're already looking quite trim. I've noticed.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. I mean, geopolitically
God,
speaking,
look at the body positivity is already. I love it. We're a body positivity podcast now.
But yeah, geopolitically, it definitely. I think that the play, by the Trump administration is clearly trying to snag like wheel and deal oil into the country at favorable rates, and it definitely has to do with this whole inflation picture. I don't know if it's necessarily Trump's master plan. I don't think Trump has many master plans these days. I think he just kind of shits on live TV, and then that's about it. But yeah, I think that it would be good for the country to have a shit ton of oil sitting around that we could use to do the Biden process again, where you just sell it when it gets too expensive. But
Well, but we have all that sweet, sweet oil coming from Venezuela. What about that, Dork?
Is it sweet?
that's part of the
or is
plan.
it sour?
It's quite sour.
Have you tasted it?
No, I mean it's inedible. The sulfur content is very high.
Is it hoppy?
I'm gonna go here. We're
Yeah,
gonna see
it's
how
more
this.
of like an IPA than it is a sweet Texas crude.
Yeah, I'm gonna go here on a scale of a mild warhead to the tip of Trump's penis. How sour are we talking?
Ooh, Bill Gates dick.
It's like
Mm.
almost as bad or as bad as Russian crude.
Mm.
So Putin's penis.
All right.
As
Well, are we
sour
at
as Putin's
Ron?
penis.
Ron, are we at 0 listeners yet? Can we
Yeah.
talk about serious stuff now?
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about how every other country in the world is running fucking headfirst to Beijing to cut trade deals. And how long until Beijing has enough international trade deals that they tell the US no more rare earth minerals for you?
It's going to be a big issue. And I'll tell you the thing that gets me. I think that people are probably not fully appreciating how important these Chinese rare earth minerals are. Because they underappreciate how prolific rare earth magnets are. The
Yes.
entire world is run and operated and built and developed by rare earth magnets, whether you realize it or not. Your personal life is enabled by more rare earth magnets than you probably have any idea.
Neodymium. Anything else I'm missing there for rare earth magnets, or is it just neodymium?
I mean, neodymium's a big one, but pretty much I'm talking about basically any natural magnet, right? And the biggest thing that is somewhat removed from the consumer usually, but the biggest thing is generators, electric generators. And so you're talking about this, proliferation of whether AI goes anywhere or not, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, a lot of the power build out right now is being driven and constrained by this massive AI investment, but even without that investment, you need these things to grow.
And so, just to clarify too, when you say electric generator, you don't mean pull the rip cord and thing spins up and powers your home. You're talking about the turbines that spin when you push steam through them in any sort of a power plant.
Yeah, it's all the same. So like all of the power, basically all of the durable power that's generated in the world is heat up water, make steam, run it through a fan, turn the fan. The fan is connected to a motor and the motor creates electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, nuclear power, the heat to make the steam comes from, nuclear material. You can use natural gas to make the heat, to make the steam, right?
You could
And
spin the
that's where
fan directly with wind.
Yeah, you could use wind to turn it to turn the magnets, right? So then you get around, making heat and steam, but you're still having to turn the magnets.
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't really require that, but still requires other things, is solar. Solar's the electricity generation we can do without spinning a motor.
To a point though. So solar, the biggest
That depends on the
biggest
type of
issue.
solar.
Well, the biggest issue with solar is it's high voltage DC.
Yes.
So if you're doing something like running data center electronics, which most electronics also run on DC power, right? The first thing that you do when you plug your AC computer into the wall is it converts that to DC so it can run all the electronics. Um, that's fine. But if you're actually doing things like distributing the power, like if you have any centralized powers, right? So if somebody's not making the power on site, if you even just once you even have to just move that electricity over a long distance, you must go to AC. I mean, that's why AC won, right? That was the original fight between Tesla and Thomas Edison, where Thomas Edison, executed a giraffe on video with AC power to try to convince everybody to use DC.
They
DC
just never
and
teach you that part in elementary school.
yeah, well, I mean, showing small children, an execution by electric shock is, you know,
Wait, so so
it's a
so
lot.
so to convert DC to AC, you still got to spin a motor?
At large powers, yes.
Okay. That's what I was
What
curious
if-
about. I was like,
Or
yeah.
well, so with the solar panels, the primary way that they do it is with something, things like buck inverters or things like that. They use an inverter. They use a solid state inverter generally, and they use it because it is low loss, right? So traditionally, if you had a DC current and you wanted to like spin a motor to generate, real mechanical power for something, you'd have to use what's called a commutator, and it's just like copper brushes that literally just take turns touching different pairs of wires so that you get this alternating thing. So it's mechanically alternated, but that's super lossy. You generate a lot of heat, you get a lot of wear.
Fire
It
hazard.
sucks. Like all the real shitty like $3 motors you can buy on Amazon for hobby stuff are old, DC commutator copper wire.
Yeah, if you run like a
bullshit.
cheap Alibaba drill, you see sparks flying out of the back.
But now the fancy, and I promise I'll end this engineering discussion. Although I will say the engineering stuff has pulled well with our viewership, so I'll give it a little bit more. But now you see the fancy direct, brushless DC. That's like the big buzzword. And what that is DC comes in, and then they use solid state silicon based inverters to chop that DC signal up into an AC signal to run the motor by alternating the current in different windings to kind of like get the magnet to spin get it to spin. So the nice thing about those inverters is that the efficiency is, well over 90%. You can get to 95, 97%. You're doing great. Like it's not unreasonable to see that. But as you go to higher power, that gets to be more challenging. And then you run into the same issues that like the AI data centers and things are running into, where you have, too much heat that's being generated that can start to degrade and melt contacts and things like that. And once these contacts get degraded, it's a exponential runaway type process. It gets bad. It doesn't get better. It just only can get worse. And so you do have to build enough of these switches to make sure that you don't overload them. But yeah, you still need to convert all that. So even if you have solar panels, you're not getting rid of this, conversion.
And the rare earth
What
minerals.
if you use the solar panels to lift like shipping containers that you filled with lead?
They'd still need motors to do that.
Yeah,
You
use
still
a
got to
DC
convert that to
motor.
AC.
And they
Yeah,
actually
and
do
then
that with
DC
dams.
motor has the AC inversion in
And then
it.
you let the lead drop, and that turns the AC generator.
They do that with dams.
That's called a hydrostatic dam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's already Simpsons did it.
Well, no, I mean my thought was I had this thought like 10 years ago, well before the birth of Ozempic, praise be, where I was like, well, we have all these humans with all this excess stored energy. We'll just call it stored energy. I feel like that is the most PC term we could use. It's stored energy. People are cultivating energy. And I was like, what if they just consumed that by, moving something uphill so that we could run it downhill later to generate power from it? And it was something like I estimated all of the excess fat in the country and estimated how much energy it would make and looked at how much we consumed. It's like 2%.
You know,
So, yeah.
every little bit helps.
So, anyway, after that really long lecture that literally nobody asked for, rare earth elements are, I cannot overstate, or maybe I can and already have, overstate how important they are.
And ubiquitous too. Utterly ubiquitous.
Everything,
yeah.
everything upstream of itself relies on rare earth, the availability, manufacture, and proliferation of rare earth minerals.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find an electronic device in your house that doesn't have rare earth minerals like somewhere in it.
Yeah. And so when if you own a blender, right? They're in there.
Yeah.
But so when I see, these articles that Ron has, gratefully shared with us of all of these other countries going to China and at least trying to hedge their bets against they're just kind of seeing weakness with the US, and they are seeing frictions and risk kind of develop with the US. They're just kind of seeing an opening of like, hey, we want to at least keep this avenue open. It's not like everybody's come out and just said, hey, we're going to unite against the US and, go all in on China. And I've seen some articles that have been discussing the possibility of China trying to push the yuan is the new reserve currency, which I think is pretty far-fetched. Like, the yuan has too many problems that I don't see resolving to just magically become the new reserve currency. But the fact that people are starting to go around us is concerning to me. I don't know. Am I overthinking it?
I mean, the CCP did come out and say that they do want to push the renminbi to reserve status. And I mean, the thing is a lot of those problems you state, a good amount of them actually kind of go away when you become the reserve currency.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps. Maybe that's part of the nothing ever happens, the watch pot never boils, the frog in the pot. We just think that it couldn't happen, so we just count it. But I don't know.
If that ever started happening, we would have the debt wars. I've talked about this a little bit a while ago, but the debt wars are going to be interesting because it's going to be entirely because of, a bunch of money, changing the way that it flows and being disadvantageous to America, and America just going ahead and trying to destroy who is benefiting from that. And so if China decides to actually do that and the world starts following along, you bet your ass the US is going to go to war with China.
That's fine,
Yes, but economic war or real war?
Like actual war.
And
Okay.
speaking of debt wars, did you guys see what happened in the silver and gold market on Friday?
Like he calls it the debt wars.
How dare you do my job and transition?
I mean, Dork brought up debt wars, so technically.
Hey,
well, tell us what are you thinking? How is this? What's the relationship here? Because most people just saw metals go up, 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 and everybody said, okay, well, that's just because people are losing faith in the dollar and the U.S. government's ability to rein in their spending.
It's not people. I mean, everyone's always convinced people are moving markets, but it's we've talked about this on here before. I've talked about this on my own for a long time. Central banks have been buying precious metals. Specifically, China buying tons of gold, and Russia more recently buying lots of silver. And Russia, due to economic sanctions, probably has some limited access to the gold markets. However, they are a very large producer of gold, so they do have plenty of their own. But both of these central banks, and then many other central banks in the world carrying U.S. debt, betting on dollar debasement, have been hedging that debt by buying gold. And gold is the real driver here. Silver's pumped and dumped, and it's that's partially like an AI trade, partially Russia's central bank. But on Friday, we saw silver sell off 35% in a single day, and I believe gold was down 11.4% in a single day. These are some of the largest major commodity moves ever seen in any market. This is not mom and pop like, oh man, my silver dollars grandpa left me are finally worth more than $18. These are major movers, and there are. This week is going to be interesting because I think we're going to see a lot of fallout from this. There are a lot of major banks that are short puts on silver, major banks that are long puts on silver, major banks that were long silver. There's a tight correlation with uh, the amount of leverage in the USD JPY carry trade, and gold to dollar value and silver to dollar value, like XAU and XAG USD. And so these are major FX components, both of them. Even though silver significantly less so than gold, still important. And this is really, really significant. This means that obviously somebody dumped a huge amount of precious metals into the open market with really no breaks. And the
I mean, you
only
could see it on the
reason-
options macro page, like just how much gold was like just getting pumped with calls. It was insane how much long call volume was on
almost
there.
surpassed Delta on SPY.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's
that
still
is
over Tesla.
That is like, retail chasing, that is hedge funds chasing, that is everyone chasing this insane rally that we've seen in gold. And gold will probably survive the sell-off. I'm not sure if silver will, but I think gold will continue to retain value. But I think what's happened here, or what we've seen, is that we've probably seen somebody say, okay, my gold has hit a valuation where it sufficiently hedges my dollar exposure, and they sold that gold. And then the next step of that process is they're going to get rid of their dollars. So say you're, something else I've been talking about for a while. Say you're a Japanese insurance company and you're holding $200 billion in US treasuries. And you were worried that potentially the value of the US dollar could drop, or the value of the yen could appreciate, or the yield on Japanese bonds would go up to a point where there was no more positive carry on your foreign bonds, and so you wanted to move back to domestic. And say you took some money and you bought some gold back when it was 1600, back when it was 2400. And you've been sitting on that gold, and you've been accumulating more and more of that gold as the price of that gold has risen. And now that gold is, $5,000 something an ounce. You can sell off all that gold that's up 100% over the last year, hedge off your dollar risk, and then shift your portfolio exposure back to your domestic bonds. And I think we're going to see more of this too. I think these are the ones that are out early. And I think it's going to be a broader, more systemic effect that we're going to continue to see.
Interesting. So you don't just think gold did a GME, had a little bit of gamma activity, and then once that happened, which basically what you're describing, everyone just got wiped the fuck out with all their calls at the money.
I mean, everyone did get wiped the fuck out. People were like 98% long silver. And silver
and they just got
dropped
absolutely cleaned out.
35% in a day.
So I feel like we have to. I want to bring up two things. The first thing I feel like we have to bring up is people are talking about this silver move as being like a once in a trillion year event. I would just like to say that is assuming that returns are normally distributed, or even log normally distributed, and that's not true. So it's not a 10 sigma event. It's a few sigma event. It's unlikely, but it is well within the range of things that could happen. And this is kind of a systemic issue, is that everybody's just undervaluing risk, like real risk that exists, because it almost feels like we're in a post-risk society, right? It was almost 3 years ago now, almost, where we had the Alternative Era music video from
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Blackstone. And the same thing happened in the run up to 2008, and the same thing happened to the run up in the .com. It's just the same thing happened literally in the run up in 1929, where everybody just says we are going to reach a durably higher level of valuations, and risk has been managed to a degree that we are emerging into a new paradigm. It is not a new thing. It is a natural psychosis that evolves with things just continuously going up. So I think it's important to say that things go down like this. It can happen. Like, just as insane as it was that silver went up as much as it did, it's equally as likely that it goes down, right? But the other thing that I wanted to bring up was there's been some chatter on we had our first bank failure of the year, and
Was it
some
due to
people
silver
are
or gold?
well. That's like the the uncorroborated claim that some people are trying to make, is that maybe they made a bet on silver that didn't work out.
Hmm.
I don't know. To me, it's because it was so sudden on like Friday. To me, and you think about like the FDIC, they manage the unwind and the distribution of those assets before they announce it. And they always announce at the end of the week. It seems like they probably were having trouble long before that sell off occurred.
It's very possible that they were short precious metals and blew up that way.
But why would a bank be short precious metals?
Yeah. It could be possible, yeah, which would be like the worst timing of all time.
But why would a bank be short precious metals?
I don't know. I don't run a bank.
I don't.
Can we get somebody from a bank on here to tell us about
Yeah.
how the last time they shorted a precious metal?
Yeah, Ron, call John Bank. See if he'll get on.
Call Mr. Bank. If you can get Dr. Bank, that'd be even better, but we'll settle for Mr. Bank or Mrs. Bank. Remember,
John
we're a
Bank
woke
is
podcast
certified
now.
in bank. Okay, he's my guy.
He's an expert in bank.
Yes,
Have
exactly.
we gotten any information from the FDIC yet why they failed?
I don't know.
No, yeah, I feel like this is all just the rumor mill at this point, isn't it?
They could end up short precious metals if they're making markets. That seems like a perfectly viable reason. Or,
it was like 250 million, 260 million. It was like a little baby bank. It was like
like a mom and pop
It was
bank.
basically just some rich asshole.
Yeah,
probably like a I don't know. I would say it's probably like a basis trade blow up or something like that.
I think it's just more likely that it's just classic, shitty loans.
That's a distinct possibility. Yeah.
If only it were that simple. Yeah, it's like that, but that's all banks. Like, a bank does
Here's
well
the
if they make
question.
good loans.
Who do they?
And the banks don't do well if the Fed doesn't back them up.
Which major bank do they distribute their private credit through?
I don't know. You gotta look it up.
Isn't the answer always JPMC?
We'll do a deep dive next week on the bank that nobody cares about.
Love it.
Well, speaking about precious metals and commodities, should we talk about the most precious metal commodity of all? Bitcoin.
What's that?
Bitcoin.
Yeah, is Bitcoin finally down? Bitcoin was up tonight like 3%. Now it's down 1%.
Well, it's bouncing pretty hard right now as we speak, but it did just hit a new low of about 74,700.
Does anybody have eyes on Michael Saylor's compound? And is he packing his bags to move to Bali right now?
I don't know, but I think him and Tom Lee are both like actively dodging mobs right now.
Yeah, I know.
Just want to break their legs.
Those are the Chechens. I owed money to them too.
Yeah, I mean, is it related? I mean, I feel like, we talk about leverage, and I guess now is a good time to plug, I posted something on our GammaStrike X account, which Ron proliferated like a Bill Gates virus to Melinda to Reddit and Blue Sky. Kind of a post talking about a lot of these things and how leverage is going up and leverage is getting intertwined. And so how these outside moves in commodities and Bitcoin and things can start to potentially bleed over into other areas. Are we at that point, that systemic point yet? Or are we just still kind of like wait and see, like things are getting, maybe we'll clench our fists a little bit, but we won't start punching the drywall yet? Any thoughts there? You could just say no, and we can move on.
Yeah.
I just hate talking about crypto.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Well, we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna talk about crypto a lot later on in the question and answer segment. So let's table Bitcoin for now because we have some Bitcoin mechanics or crypto mechanics to talk
oh,
about
those are your
later.
favorite.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
gonna
love talking
totally
about
geek out.
fake pretend money.
Well, it's fake pretend money that is now being latched onto the centralized fake pretend assets. Woo!
It's true.
We'll talk about anyway. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, you're gonna have to stick around for the whole 2 hours because we hate you as a listener.
That's why we do this.
All right, let's close the loop on the government shutdown last week. I feel like we had kind of a prolonged and not super informed talk about the government shutdown last week, but I mean this week I'll just say this real quick, and if you guys want to add anything to it, you can, and then we'll move on to earnings because there's a lot of important earnings this week. But basically, the Senate has already approved the remaining funding obligations, appropriations packages that have been on the table. It seems like in cahoots with the White House, so they kind of work together on that, and now it's sitting in the House. Technically, funding lapsed on some places like Pentagon and a couple other things.
No, just the
Friday
Pentagon.
Yeah,
night.
we technically have. We do have a shutdown.
We technically have a shutdown, but there is an
It's
extremely
partial.
strong chance. Basically, just waiting on the House to approve the bill and send it to the White House. And because the Senate and the White House work together, it's very likely that's going to go through. So probably another nothing burger. Actually, one question I didn't see in the information that I looked at, did we fund the Department of Homeland Security? Did that happen?
Yeah.
Is that in the Senate bill?
Why wouldn't it be?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
None of the headlines or any of the like news blurbs discuss that, even though that was the sticking point of why they would have shut anything down to begin with. So Trump says deal reached on stopgap spending bill for DHS. Okay. So it
House.
wasn't
Mm.
so we talked a lot of game, or somebody talked, not we. I don't claim any ownership of anything that's going on here, but somebody talked a big game about we will not fund DHS, and 3 days later they funded it.
Oh wait, no, yeah. So yeah, so they funded it for a couple
They're
weeks.
continuing
Ron dug it
DHS
up. Yeah.
operations for 2 more weeks. However, the House has to approve that funding.
We kicked the can for 2 entire weeks.
Yep.
Where have I? Wait a minute.
2 weeks.
I was just about to say, can we, if in a country that's looking for common ground, can we all find just just the value and just the wondrousness of everybody coming together and giving 2-week ultimatums. Like, that's just like, can we all just agree that that's the perfect amount of time to give an ultimatum? 2 weeks?
I'm gonna start trying it. I don't know where yet, but I'm gonna pull it
Well,
out. Give 2 weeks.
It's like when we do stupid bets that are 2 weeks long. Everyone forgets what the bet was about.
It's perfect.
I like it.
But it's not so long that you have to plan for it. You can't plan for 2 weeks, right? I mean, you got to have at least a month to like get those. You get four meetings on the calendar. Anyway, okay. So we've kicked the can for 2 weeks. So we'll revisit this in 2 more episodes. You'll hear more about the shutdown, maybe. Otherwise,
Speaking of meetings on the calendar, what do we have for earnings calls?
well, before we get to earnings, Ron has spent a lot of time in his
We have a new commercial?
we have a new commercial, and Ron put a lot of work into it, so I can't wait for all of our viewers to tell him how shitty it is. Ron, take it away.
Well, hey there, stranger. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to check us out on our socials, where you can hear the latest about Vol Stars and GammaStrike. Check us out on X, Blue Sky, and Reddit.
Oh God, I just died of cholera on the Oregon Trail.
Oh my god! But it's so beautiful. It's so much better than like the sad like.
I'm glad we
Sarah
finally got Yosemite Sam to do the ad spots for us.
It's so much better than like the Sarah McLachlan, just like
Right.
oh my god!
Is your
Anyway.
options trading making your sex life terrible?
Are you having a hard time performing under the stress of the market?
Oh, all right. Earnings.
There's nothing.
What earnings?
It's
There's
boring.
a lot.
What are the earnings you're looking at? I mean, Disney seems like we're coming up on that in the next few hours here.
I want to say that my bets on SanDisk and the upstream of Nvidia paid off bigly.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean,
so that was great last week. I'd imagine it would continue to be good this week. I'm pretty interested in Supermicro. As you know, they start to get their accounting fraud in order. They may become a more interesting investment, and especially, obviously they have a lot of exposure to building out these data centers and are probably getting more money than they know what to do with pumped into them right now. Palantir, AMD, those are all going to, all the major tech companies are going to be very interesting for everyone.
I'm interested in the AMD call. I want to listen to that.
So Supermicro, AMD are kind of lumped together. So like anybody at the level of Nvidia who's selling to a model maker, somebody who services model makers, is going to be doing well. And then upstream of that, I think the interesting thing, I don't think it's going to show up in this earnings, but I think the interesting thing is that people like SK Hynix, Samsung, Micron, all those folks who are selling to TSMC and Nvidia, they're coming for their pound of flesh. And it's a zero-sum game. Especially now that we're starting to finance all this shit with debt instead of free cash flow.
Or shares in the case of Nvidia.
And so what I think ultimately this is going to start doing is pull back like that envelope of profitability just ever so slightly, right? So as the margins of these upstream suppliers goes up, the margins downstream must go down.
Yep.
That's why I think AMD's call is going to be so interesting.
Yeah, so like AMD and Nvidia, Nvidia always reports way late, so they're probably like a couple weeks out at least. But I wonder if it'll start to show up in AMD's margin this quarter. It might not, but maybe in their guidance.
AMD also reports on a different schedule, and they tend to be more Lisa Sue tends to be more honest about guidance than her cousin.
We know that you have a strong sexual bias towards Lisa Sue over
I
Jensen
do.
Wine.
It's not.
This is documented.
It's about respect. It is not sexual in any way.
I understand that, but it is somewhat sexual.
80-20.
Only in the
is
amount of
respect.
money that's been made.
Okay, I'll agree to 80-20. You what econosexual respect. We'll say that. It's like a weird, yeah.
She's been a phenomenal CEO. She is a very intelligent woman. And her cousin wears crocodile jackets and has tiny robots blow them on stage. So of the two CEOs of major chip companies in the U.S. that I respect, definitely her quite a bit more.
Can I also say
AMD's honesty and their guidance has always been it's been kind of a bellwether for, I think, Intel and Nvidia, who are a little bit more, let's say, optimistic, and let's not call them completely dishonest. And AMD's earnings tend to be more reflective of current market conditions than NVIDIA's earnings, which are reported well in advance of actually being earned.
Can I just say I generally agree with you? However, I do have a point of concern I'd like to point out with AMD, and it revolves around what they presented at CES this year a few weeks ago.
Was it a tiny robot?
No, it was worse. It was Greg Brockman from OpenAI.
Oh boy.
Who she brought out on stage to say some incredibly insane things. And so I really hope that that this is not a trend. This is an outlier for AMD, because I agree. I think they make great products. I am full disclosure, a happy user of her products. And yeah, I hope she doesn't go to the dark side like her Sith Lord cousin.
I mean, considering the deal they made with OpenAI, I mean, they're already dancing with the devil.
They're doing it. They're starting to. So I'll be interested to see kind of the language and the sensationalism that I hope that they don't start.
I'm just interested in the earnings call. I want to see what investors ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with Alphabet too.
I mean, yeah, and they're also, they're the provider of all the CPUs for all these data centers. So
yeah,
because nobody wants to use Intel shit products, even though they do have slightly better memory controllers, which I found out the hard way. They do have inferior silicon.
Here's the thing, though. Like with any the thing with Intel is that they have their own fabs, and so the inferiority is in fabrication tolerances, and those can be fixed. They're hard to fix, but when you fix them, you can get a lot of value and a lot of runway out of them. And so this is one of the reasons why it's so hard for anybody to overtake TSMC, because as much as we like to think of microfabrication as this highly deterministic workflow, it is very much black magic. It is voodoo.
You don't need a 30-minute speech on lithography, though, because I know where you're headed.
But
I'm interested in that.
You're correct, but I will just say, all I will say is that if Intel locks in, buy Intel.
So you're saying if Intel doesn't have to bin 99% of their chips and it's 95% of their chips?
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It is. I mean, we're talking about through throughputs of like 70% versus 80-85%, right? So but it's that last 10-15%. I mean, we're talking about trillions of resistors and a few percent of trillions is still billions, right? And so, but if they lock that in, and they're all using, that's the thing, they're all using the same equipment from the very few suppliers. So it's all just about locking in precisely, and the, in the part of the world you're in that might be just a touch more humidity in the summer than somewhere else, and so everything has to be dialed in just a little bit. So if they ever are able to dial in, like they're dialed in for a long time.
Wait, Gherk, do I have permission to
you could
ask one
also
question?
well, hold on. Yes, but after I said, you could also just say ASML is the arbiter of Moore's law.
I mean, one thing that I'm following that's kind of interesting is that Intel and TSMC are kind of right now in a race to the 2 and the slash 1.8 nanometer node for silicon, and that's basically, in regards to Moore's law, that's the last one. Because once you start getting smaller than that, quantum tunneling just overwhelms any gains you would get. And so but we've even been in this, like, ever since, even just 4 to 3 nanometer, just getting just massive diminished returns because of these quantum effects that are, 1.8 nanometers is like 6 silicon atoms.
Yeah. Just to put
And
puts
so,
it into it gives you a sense of scale of how tiny these transistors are.
the transistors themselves are actually quite large, but the smallest dimension, critical dimension in the transistor is 6 silicon atoms, plus or minus an atom, which at that point is like
That's
a
it's
13% error.
18%. Yeah.
Speaking of quantum tunneling, Quantum and Google, or Alphabet, whose earnings this week.
They did do
Did
quantum
you hear
computing. That
about?
was an okay transition. I'll give you that one.
You said doo
Did you hear about the Google's latest development in quantum with the Willow
No.
chip? Well,
Isn't that
supposedly
old?
like
Willow?
I don't know if is Willow the new one, or is it like I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think
Tell me your story,
Willow's
sir.
both their current. It is old, but it's also the current one they're
Their
working
current
on.
line, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Sundar Pichai announced it was like a couple weeks ago that they'd had a big breakthrough in their like quantum computing, and like they were using a new echoes algorithm that was producing like verifiable advantage over supercomputers. So they were able to independently verify the outcomes of the quantum quantum computing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good benefits to quantum computing if it could be pulled off. I think the biggest one is matrix
Disagree.
operations. No,
No, I
JFresh,
disagree.
you know that like finding the transpose of a matrix or inverting a matrix that's fucking giant would be really, really nice on a quantum computer.
Maybe, but we're at a weird point in the technology landscape that I didn't expect to be in, but now we're basically going to pretty soon, I think, be in a situation where we have all of these massively parallel processing, low precision but high throughput processors in these GPUs. And we're going to have literally nothing to do with them, right? Because the biggest challenge is, if you want to explicitly solve a series of equations, you have to do it basically serially, right? Essentially line by line, right? So you have to have massive amounts of memory, and it's serial, it's slow. I think the biggest low hanging fruit is in how do you efficiently break up the solution of a system of equations to spread that computation out over a parallel pipeline. My biggest criticism of quantum is that nobody can really, I mean, if you actually have them sit down and try to explain to you what is the actual benefit to quantum compute, over traditional compute, it is very difficult to do because you have to come up with completely new algorithms. And yes, there are a few in cryptography. We can find a lot of prime numbers perhaps more efficiently.
You know it's going
with
to blow
some
up
of these
Bitcoin if
things.
you could just mine all the Bitcoin in 1 second with a quantum
That's
computer.
the thinking, right? And that's the concern. And there's a lot of people looking into how do we go to like post quantum Bitcoin, which fine, there's somebody has to think about that, I guess. But I mean, quantum has the same problem that AI has, which is it is a solution looking for a problem. And it's really cool scientifically. I would argue that I think Microsoft is, if they're not having more success, they're definitely doing better marketing around their quantum, which is surprising because their marketing around AI is complete dog shit. I think Microsoft is doing more interesting things in terms of some of these quantum, coherence measurements and certifiability of calculations and things like that. But yeah, I think quantum is just going to be a big dud because it's a solution looking for a problem.
No, here's the here's the best like headline I could find of it was Google's Willow chip achieved the first verifiable quantum advantage. Using the Quantum Echoes algorithm, the chip completed a 65 qubit calculation in just 2.1 hours, a task estimated to take the Frontier supercomputer approximately 3.2 years. The algorithm functions by rewinding quantum operations to expose subtle details and interference that classical machines struggle to simulate. This breakthrough facilitates Hamiltonian learning, which is essential for advancing research in chemistry and medicine.
Okay, yeah, there's some buzzwords there, but my question is, give me a real world, real use case example. What is it that they've accelerated from 6 years to 3 hours? And the fact that they can't tell you in the headline is a problem. They've done a calculation.
Yeah.
What is the value of that calculation? That's my problem.
Well, the thing is I think that you're running into the Mandela effect more than actually there being like limited use cases. I think that it's just that they did something that's part of a much larger context, but it's not the whole thing. Like you can add numbers with a quantum computer, but that's not a distinct advantage, and especially for the cost. But like, if there's other things you can do, like simulating a Hamiltonian in a quantum computer, and kind of like when you were talking about protein folding, right? There's a ton of little local minima, but how do you know which one is the absolute?
Yeah, but what I need is for them to articulate the connection between what they're doing and how you get to what you're describing. That's explicitly what I'm asking for. And what is completely missing when everybody talks about these things in this abstract, quantum language, and they don't link it to some calculation that has some value that any scientist or even layperson could understand. That's a problem. It means they don't know, because if they could do that, they would have done that. Because if the media does anything, it's that they over glamorize something to make it sound provocative. And that is what you just read was the least provocative thing I could think to write to the general public.
That's the
So
best.
that tells me that they don't know what they're going to use it for.
Well, it's I don't know if it's necessarily a solution looking for a I mean, okay. It kind of is. They're basically trying to recreate a computer. And that's the thing is they're trying to it's kind of like what Nvidia is doing with GPUs. It's like, here you go. You figure it out.
Well, they're basically trying to do, I don't want to, I mean, again, we're getting into like engineering again and physics, but they're trying to do probabilistic compute.
Yeah.
Which is every algorithm we've ever developed, with the exception of the few proposed quantum algorithms, are deterministic on-off. The transistor is either on or off. And we verify that it's on or off with a change in current of 6 orders of magnitude. It is undeniably on or undeniably off. And if there is ever any uncertainty in whether it's on or off, it breaks everything. And so when you start switching to a probabilistic compute system, you're starting over. And so my question is, what is the supporting reasoning that would compel me to say, yeah, it's worth starting over? And yes, they have buzzwords like we can turn a calculation that would take a deterministic computing system, a millennium, we can do that in 3 days. It's like, okay, but what is the value of that compute process? And that's what they can't do, other than say we can crack Bitcoin or the cryptography, right? We can find all the primes under some number.
Well, we could find where to look for primes.
Yeah, the things like that. And so then it'd be okay. So that's all I'll say on that. My biggest thing with Alphabet, though, I'll say, will they follow the trend of Meta and Microsoft, who last week announced that they spent every single dime of their free cash flow on CapEx?
That's a great question.
Yeah, Gherk, and maybe that's our stupid bet this week. I don't know. But you're on mute, Gherk. But that's the one thing that I am looking at on Alphabet's earnings.
That was my stupid prediction last week, was that we were at a pivot point for cash flow versus capex, and that turned out to be largely true. I'm sure that's going to continue across anybody involved in the hyperscaler space. We're just at that forefront. So if it's not this earnings, it'll be the next one. And so that's just where we are in the cycle. And we're gonna start seeing the realization of that capex in those upstream companies, and that's where I'd be focused for bullish growth. And I think the hyperscalers are gonna, their margins, and not only their margins, but their PE ratios are gonna suffer probably pretty significantly over the next year. Because I mean that's just that's where we are. That's how the cyclicality of the chip industry works.
Well, should we also talk about the news? I feel like the unfolding discussion of Oracle that's been happening over the weekend, where on Friday
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay, so on Friday there was rumblings that they are planning on laying off up to 30,000 people.
Bullish.
And over the weekend, I think earlier today, there was some rumblings that they are planning on issuing, it was something like, I think, $50 billion in like debt and security sales, like equity
So
sales.
they're issuing debt and firing people. Sounds like productivity is through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they have to build, they have this $100 and something billion obligation to OpenAI, who's definitely going to find that money to pay them eventually when they build it. But
maybe they just hired the wrong people, and they need $50 billion to hire the right ones.
Mm-hmm.
So is the CEO of Oracle going to get I'm going to start calling them the Sam Altman hands when talking about AI, or,
I don't really understand what the thought
Are you talking
process
about
was there.
Larry Ellison?
Who is not the CEO, right? He's the board member, right?
He's the CTO, I think.
He's John Oracle, okay?
Yeah. He co-founded Oracle.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we're going to get more of this. We talk about Sam Altman.
He
He'd
is
be
the
great.
CTO. Yeah.
I would say he invented the Sam Altman hands.
Larry Ellison?
Yeah.
What were they thinking? Like, you always assume that people are a few steps ahead, but they literally just went in ham-handed into this 100 billion plus world with nothing and started building, and then was just like, oh shit, we're going to need a lot of money to service this. I don't understand what they were thinking. I mean, there's already at least one class action lawsuit against them about their debt that they've already issued to fund this. I don't understand what is the upside for them. Like, what was their strategy?
Bet the farm on OpenAI.
But people, okay. But yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I
Collect
don't understand
underpants?
why.
Question marks. Profit.
Well then we also have to talk about then the other news thing article. There's lots of news here. One is saying that I want to make sure I get this right. Amazon, Microsoft, and Nvidia are planning on investing up to $60 billion. They're talking about, we'll say not planning, talking about investing $60 billion into OpenAI, which I assume everybody's going to immediately discount from their free cash flow. Right? I mean, that's a massive amount of money for 2026 to give to the person who's just going to turn around and give it right back to you.
I think this is all a move to make sure that OpenAI doesn't just explode in a ball of flame, and to keep the narrative going.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're buying time.
That's it. That's all they're buying. They don't care about the money necessarily that they're giving to them.
I agree. I think they're hoping that the AI plant thing will play out. They haven't quite worked out all the details, but hope that they can. And they're just buying months whenever they think they need to. And nobody notices because nobody takes the CapEx and subtracts it from earnings and says, oh, wait, you're spending all of your earnings on CapEx. You're not actually a profitable company. Like, oh, this is a one-time expense that you make every quarter? Curious.
It's all dumb.
So yeah, I think actually Alphabet probably must be the winner in all of this. Because you're on mute, Gherk.
Because they dumped the least money into AI.
No, because they have the largest runway to sustain it. I think that all of this spend comes from the original sin of trying to fight the Google monopoly on AI.
Oh, did you hear the exciting
think-
news that Google actually had enough training data from all of the gameplay videos on YouTube that they managed to make a video game creator that gives you a 60-second video game you can play with 1 second latency, and they're just recreations of video games that people like to play on YouTube
and
a lot.
They have no simple world model things like object permanency and
but you can't play Battletoads with it for sure. But
well, I mean, it's okay. It's part of the same mimic. It's part of the same.
I know
parlor trick. The problem with criticizing the state of the tech is that they can always spend more money to make the parlor trick look more convincing. And so it is a losing strategy to try to say, oh, look, all they've done is this, because then next year they'll do more with the parlor trick. And underneath the surface, what's being hidden is how much that shit costs. And so I think what everybody should be focusing on is how much should it cost to make this dog shit? Oh, you made slightly more convincing dog shit this year, but it cost you 10x more. And all of that's being hidden from the conversation. So all you see is the technology is getting better, right? Which is convinces people to throw more money at it because it must continue to keep getting better. But what they're not seeing is that the return is getting exponentially worse. And so I would say everybody needs to stop saying, oh, but it doesn't do this. Oh, but it doesn't do that, because they'll find a way to pay enough money to simulate that in a very cost ineffective way. And they'll hide the cost, and then you'll lose that argument, and they'll get more investor money, and they'll pump the bubble bigger. So you need to be asking, how much did it cost?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Alphabet has to win here. And Alphabet, all of this, the last 3 years has been Alphabet saying, how dare you try to encroach on my turf? We all had our turfs perfectly mapped out. You did this, I did that, you did that. So none of us quite look like a monopoly, but we have this great little oligopoly, thing going on. You had to fuck it up, and you had to try to step on my turf, and I will not allow it. And so I'm going to make you bleed. And I'm going to make you bleed so hard that if you want to win, you will die. And everybody else said, game on. And so now everybody's just burning money, just in this pissing contest that I think ultimately Google's going to win, just because they have
They own YouTube. They own
who
the
else
search
who else
index.
is going to win? I mean, they have the most. They just had the most first mover advantage on AI, and they have as deep of pockets as anybody else. And the fact that they seem to be the least affected free cash flow of all of them already at this point, it just seems like they're going to win the game of chicken, and everybody else is going to get punished for fighting. And in the end, they're all going to lose, right? They're all going to have to take their lumps, but at least Google's going to come out with something, and everybody else is going to come out with nothing. And that includes OpenAI and all the investors and Anthropic and anybody else. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what Alphabet does, how much of their free cash flow they're burning, because that tells me what is their comparative advantage to the other companies who are already burning all their free cash flow and taking on debt now to try to come at the king.
I mean, yeah. You're pretty much right. I think it's like
that's
it's a race to the bottom of the piggy bank to see who pulls out the last dime last.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you bleed. I feel like Sundar Pichai says that every day in the mirror. I'm gonna make you bleed.
And everybody ultimately loses because the product they created is useless.
Oh yeah, we're all gonna lose.
Well, actually, maybe
We're gonna
except
lose a lot.
Apple, right? Apple's basically just put no money into AI at all.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is
Apple's smart.
there's a distinction here that Google is so willing to allegedly violate their own terms of service on YouTube to build their AI stuff. That's why that was primarily where my joke was that they violated their TOS enough to get all this gameplay footage classified and put into the thing where you could actually relate inputs to video generation on video games that they have footage of. And that's why you only see Dark Souls or Elden Ring or GTA, because those are I guarantee you could do a Minecraft one, because those are by far the most popular things on there. You could probably do Red Dead Redemption too, but like
the
problem
is that if they do a Minecraft one, it'll be so obvious that they'll get sued.
Oh no, but the GTA one was painfully obvious. It had Michael DeSantos in the game, and it had Trevor in the gameplay. And the Dark Souls one, it had Estus flasks on the bottom of the D-pad, like it was literally Dark Souls. Like and everyone's saying video game makers are cooked. I'm like, no, this thing literally just created a 1-to-1 copy with a little bit of different background.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gherk. How do you feel about? I mean, video game companies sold off hard this week.
I wish
That
they would
seems like
pop in me, so I don't have to wake up at 9 a.m.
That seems like a buy the dip kind of situation. I mean, yeah, these big video game companies have their issues, but they're not going to get replaced by
Fuck no.
AI.
Not
No.
yet.
Maybe another up and comer that like just makes better stories and gives a shit, but
I think it's a buy the dip situation for sure. I don't think video game companies are
I
going
kind of
anywhere.
felt that this week, and I don't feel that often lately because I just feel like everybody's super over levered. But I saw that Soft, and I was like,
Which one?
Just
that's
just
like
video
Take
games.
Two Studios, Unity,
Take-Two, Riot.
Okay. So just all the game developers tanked.
Yeah, they all sold
they
off.
all tanked, yeah,
Oh.
because everyone just saw this like AI dog shit. And
People
just
who
like,
don't play video
"Gaming's
games
over."
didn't they people who don't play video games didn't realize they were watching a copycat of a very popular video game that is on YouTube all over the place and was
Yeah.
just literally being carbon
Yeah.
copied onto a different background or something and so all those boomers went, holy shit, video game makers are cooked, and while they're drinking their sugar-free Monster and they hit the sell button.
I will just say, as somebody whose 10-year-old son who also is addicted to video games, he tells me that he thinks that I spend too much time playing video games.
Nice.
I agree with you, Dork.
Yeah. That's literally idiots who don't play video games watching that footage, not realizing that it's just completely stolen and fabricated, like copyrighted content, violating TOS. Like
the people on Superstock over on Reddit will finally have a reason to say they came after gamers again.
Oh shit.
Oh God.
So the play is GameStonk.
All right. Any other earnings that you guys?
Nah.
I mean, we got a
enough.
Firm. That's kind of that's enough on
That's enough
earnings. I mean, a
earnings.
Firm might
Yeah.
be interesting.
I'm earningsed out.
We could talk a little
Why don't
bit
we
about
wait?
Ron,
Why don't we do a
hold on,
commercial?
Hold on. Yeah, we gotta do a commercial. Ron, yeah.
Well, hey there, stranger. If you're enjoying...
Nope, not that one, Ron.
You already played that one wrong.
We're at over an hour in, so it's clear you like Volstars, and for that, we're thankful. Could you do us a huge favor, though, and be sure to give this a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us to get the podcast out to others, so we appreciate it.
We're so
Thank you.
consistently over time that Ron made a commercial about it.
Could we only afford Yosemite Sam for one advertising block?
Yeah, we might have to get the Yosemite Sam to be a recurring character.
Look, I already gave up my one chicken quesadilla for Yosemite Sam the first time. I'm not doing it again.
All right, calendar. What's going on this week?
We got ISM.
Oh shit, we got ISM menu. Yeah, you love I was
Your
just about to say,
favorite.
you love your ISM.
I can't wait to see manufacturing prices with PPI through the roof. S&P PMIs also. I guess auto sales, but who cares? We get JOLTS, right? Or no? Do we not get JOLTS this week?
No, but we get
we
initial claims.
Initial jobless claims, yeah.
I thought we got job openings Tuesday.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm losing it.
Let me confirm.
ADP employment.
Find out.
Yeah, we got
quick.
JOLTS on Tuesday, 10 a.m. And then Friday, is this our first up-to-date unemployment report or a second now?
I want to say it's our second, but honestly, I'm not quite sure, which is part of the problem. Nobody quite knows.
Yeah. Is it real or not? Well, we get another employment report. So this week's going to be big focus on labor. I mean, it's Labor Week, right? So we get all the labor reports. That's what everyone's going to care about. Obviously, unemployment picked up, slumped back down. I would say if unemployment continues to go down, then we're probably in a situation where the Fed cut too soon if it follows the GDP growth numbers. But if inflation or unemployment starts to pick up, that puts us in a different situation. It's going to change the market's estimate of Fed cuts, which is currently I think 2 for the rest of this year. So somewhat important across those. Strength in labor, obviously keeping the Fed in check and keeping them from cutting more. But any signs of weakness there, and that'll change.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this many times already. I think the unemployment data is unreliable. I think the only thing you can really look at that even might be reliable is the employment to population ratio. So I don't anticipate that we'll get any additional real clarity from this. Now that's not going to stop everybody from over analyzing it, which is going to play out bigly with anticipated cuts and hikes in the future. But I mean, I think the employment situation is shit.
I'm just interested in inflation for this year, and so I'm going to be looking at ISM and ISM manufacturing and services.
Yeah, I
The
think
prices there are going to be real interesting. But yeah, I think that's about it for this week. I mean, not too much to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dork, I'm going to hand over the MC role to you to lead us through the questions and stupid bets and get Ron to bed.
Yeah, Ron's tired. I could tell. He's looking at me with that sad face. Okay, so first thing, you can ask questions on X, Blue Sky, Reddit. There's even a link in your streaming service where you're enjoying this for you to go and ask your questions. So if you got a question, ask it, because we like questions. The more we have, the more we can sort of vet them and get really good ones. So you're probably the one with the really good question. Ask away. All right. Our first question is going to be a mouthful, but yeah, let's try not to get, dick deep in the weeds here. But someone on Reddit asked, how will upcoming tokenization of the DTCC securities impact the market? Who's most likely to profit from this? Well, we went ahead and did our homework on this a little bit and tried to figure out exactly what this whole securities tokenization thing means for like market mechanics. The most important thing is continuous net settlement is still a thing. End of day settlement still has to happen through I'm calling them classical shares, right? The ones, the classic held by Seed and Co. on book shares are used for end of day settlement. So that's not changing, which is probably the most important thing. But there is.
I feel like that's not all that important at all.
It is for the DTC.
Yeah,
it is for a select group of stockholders in the U.S.
Yes.
No, this is important for the DTC. This is the DTC is doing this for the DTC.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we looked into this, and basically what they're doing is this. So, and Dork, affectionately referred to the continuous net settlement system, which is CNS, which we affectionately refer to as the CNS.
CNS.
It is still big and plump.
Yep. And so the CNS is basically the pipeline where all of the buys and sells from all of the different brokerages put in all of that information, and then out on the other end, CNS says, okay, trades have been matched and ownership has been settled. And that pipeline used to be 2 days long, and now it is 1 day long. So it's reduced that illiquidity. But basically, what they're adding on to that system is one different account. And that account is basically how many tokens are we obligated to convert to ownership of DTC owned shares? Because all of the actual shares of all the companies are owned by the DTC and Seed and Co. And they divvy out, they own the share, and then they decide and divvy out who has a claim to that ownership to everybody else. And so they've added this different, for the tokenization, they've added an account. But instead of doing what they do with their, we'll call them physical shares, they don't exist but they are quote unquote physical. So the current system, they have the physical shares, and then their system decides amongst all of the brokerages who do business with them who owns what, right? And they suss all that out with all the trades. But every
thought-
brokerage has its own separate account,
Wallet.
right? And those,
I mean, in this instance, wallet on an approved blockchain.
but with the tokenization, they are no longer distilling this down to brokerage level. They have one account, and it is all tokens that we have issued.
The distributed omnibus account.
The DOA, the debt on arrival. Yeah, the distributed omnibus account. They do not care who on the other side of that actually has a claim to those issued tokens. All they care is that they have an obligation to somebody out there in the world, and they don't give a shit. All they care about is that if you don't figure out on the other side of this who has a real claim and come to us with a valid claim that can be verified by some sort of blockchain that we acknowledge is valid, then you're fucked. And so, as far as we can tell, the only real benefit here is that the DTCC sees places like Robinhood and other folks doing 24/7 trading, who are basically self-clearing outside of market hours, and crypto exchanges who are also self-clearing, in the DeFi space, and trying to start to bring them into the fold of the DTC.
Yeah, they want
everything is
24/7 trading that's on chain.
Yes, but most importantly, they still want all of the ownership to be at the DTC, which
they're entitled to because of what is it, UCC Article 8. So they remain the secured, like the DTC, the DTC remains the intermediary for all ownership of the in scope securities.
Yeah, so I think that who's most likely to profit from this? I don't know that anybody's necessarily going to profit from it. I mean, we try to poke holes in it a little bit and see where somebody could exploit it. And honestly, it just seems mostly just DTC trying to maintain their empire and make sure that they don't get scooped.
No, I mean, right away, like big banks, right? Well, I mean, specifically like BNY Mellon or Citigroup, any big custody or clearing banks that can produce tokenized collateral will benefit from intraday liquidity, because collateral optimization and custody due to their cash management is going to net them significant profits.
But here's the thing: if you want to settle anything at the DTC, you must convert your tokens to.
Why would you ever settle? You'll just never settle anything. You just trade 24/7, not stop. You just never settle anything. So you just
but that's what the system is now, right?
Well, you just push tokenization to extend trading hours, basically. And so now you can monetize like new sessions and new products and new data, and Goldman Sachs and Intercontinental Exchange and NASDAQ, and everybody's just going to jump on that.
But the point is that all of those systems right now that are already operating outside of the DTC are in periods of blackout where they're completely disconnected from all of the other participants. So like when Robinhood has 24/7 trading on things, Robinhood is self-clearing and they have no counterparties to that to what's happening on the Robinhood exchange. And so if you have a Robinhood, and if Robinhood's the only person doing that, that's fine. But then if you have like let's say like a Webull or somebody else that also starts doing 24/7 trading, then you start getting idiosyncrasies where, Robinhood might have, buy sell imbalance of one thing, and Webull has a buy sell imbalance of another thing, and they can't clear those. They have to hold that obligation, or they have to hold that risk overnight because they have no counterparty with which to clear that against.
Yeah, you still have no tokenization of cash or settlement.
Well,
So
the
this is like
interesting thing
half.
though is that
This is like half of what you need to really
that's
make
the
that
thing
system.
is what the DTCC is rolling out doesn't solve this problem.
Yeah, no, but they can't. I mean, major like you need like the stable coin leg still.
And so the question then is, well, why did they do it? And the only thing we could really come up with is just to try to defend their empire, to just try to co-op, get these DeFi exchanges and get these 24-hour trading exchanges, at least interfacing with the DTCC so that the second that the DTCC will start settling and netting trades, they can do so. And I'm sure that, they've made it very clear this is a quote unquote beta, and have sent a letter to the SEC and asked them for all sorts of provisions to get around the Securities Exchange Act and things like that. So I imagine that they're going to try to accelerate this integration from this point. But as it stands right now, the effect on the market is going to be fuck all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if they were able to implement the system very well, and there was a tokenized settlement option, then I mean, I don't think the effect will be fuck all. I mean, we're going to get more 24/7 markets out of it, but other than that, the effect is largely going to be fuck all. And those markets aren't likely to become drastically more popular than they are now, which is not very popular. But I will say that if they were able to complete the circuit, so to speak, and tokenize not only the cash settlement side, but also the security. I mean, you could effectively eliminate arbitrage, right? Anybody who's making money from operational friction is gonna get fucked.
Yeah, so I'll say this is the first step of many that could lead to some pretty cataclysmic changes, but this one step in isolation is not enough to really change anything on its own.
Yeah,
But
and I've spoken before on what I think is going to happen with stablecoins. I think it's a stupid idea.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit different, but yeah, stable coins are.
It's the other half of this, though, right? Is tokenization of treasuries, right? I mean, that's the next step. Is you need a tokenization of those cash like money market fund products and treasuries. So you have then you would have the complete circuit of both cash settlement instruments and tokenized securities.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's the end game.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean,
but
but right now it's just a parallel book, right? It's stupid. It's like it's like what we were talking about with quantum, right? Like it does nothing.
Yeah, it's literally a single account, and every single person on the other side of that are all just netting against this one account. So all the DTC is keeping track of is, what is the total obligation I owe to everybody in the world on tokens? And if you can't come to them with what they deem to be a valid token transaction, then they just say fuck off. So they get the benefit of starting to integrate with these outside DeFi worlds while taking on no risk. But it's not enough to actually, I think, meaningfully change anything by itself. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I think there could be some like short-term winners in the space. Anybody hosting hosting one of these parallel networks or blockchains could end up doing really well. Anybody like cybersecurity, like whoever's handling the cybersecurity for this is probably going to make a shitload of money in contracts.
Yep.
So I mean, there's some like maybe potential like equity valuation improvements that we can see out of this in the short term, but I agree largely that it's useless for now. But
Yeah,
if they do,
okay.
if they do at any point, if we do start moving to stable coins over central banks and that shift starts to become more real, then the future will be arbitrage free.
Yep. The slippery slope. We're on
But
it.
when you sell your SPX contract, you'll get the money right away. Like it never left your
Yeah.
account.
Well,
No,
in
you'll
like
still
10
have to wait
minutes.
to use the money till tomorrow.
Actually, I don't know if you'd get it right away. I mean, when you start getting into the volumes that are trading, it might slow down. That's expensive.
Yeah,
You're not
I
going to
mean,
get T+0 settlement.
being able to handle that many transactions per minute is going to be hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, theoretically, it should move things
That's
to
the
T+0, which
the
is
benefit.
actually, I mean, something I've long been a proponent of. I think T0 eliminates a lot of fraud in
Yeah.
market
No, I think
making and in settlement.
instant settlement would, yeah, I agree. It would eliminate a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
It would
right, so I
actually give
guess
us fairer markets. I don't know if they'd be
Yeah.
freer, but they'd be fairer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
there'd be a little more symmetry. So then I guess the question, who's most likely to profit from this? According to the DTC, it'd be retail traders. I don't know what the real answer is. Right now, it doesn't seem like anybody's really necessarily going to profit from it. It's just that they're building this infrastructure because why not? And they want to make sure they stay the nexus of share transactions going
They want
forward.
to make sure all conventional assets remain the property of Seed and Co.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. The game stonkers are going to love that we just brought up Seed and Co.
Oh God.
Mm.
So, anyways, okay,
Well,
next
eliminate
question.
the need for transfer agents too. So
Oh shit. Puts on computer share?
not that they ever had any use in the first place, but
Yeah, it's all dumb. Okay. Next question. This comes to us from X. When can we get GammaStrike Labubu's and his JFresh's wife working to secure such a partnership? JFresh,
Yes,
can you
I
comment?
can actually speak on this very quickly. We have a $100 billion letter of intent between my wife, and Pop Mart, who makes the Labubu. It's non-binding, and nobody knows what's going to happen, but I expect our stock prices to go through the roof on announcement of this news. More information will be forthcoming in the near future.
And just some tech bro advice for you, JFresh. You never actually call it a letter of intent because that sounds really shitty because it's just a letter of intent. You call it an LOI, and that way people who don't know what it means think that big number and LOI is an acronym, meaning you're smart and this is money, right?
It's actually, if I was going to be really technical, it's actually an MOU. So.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. Big deal. Yeah. Still non-binding.
Big things are coming. All right.
And
This question.
I'm making fun of you, Jensen Huang. If it wasn't clear.
Oh man, if he's listening right now, he'd be very upset.
He usually is, but we'll see if he listens.
I think
to
we
this
can
one.
kind of skip the third one. We already kind of covered that.
That's true, we did. All right. Fourth question then was from Blue Sky. Was Warsh's nomination to be the next Fed chair the catalyst that drove Friday's sell-off in precious metals and will it be bought? Oh, we already covered this too. I mean,
kind of. We didn't really talk about Warsh at all, but narrative follows bias. Narrative follows bias. Who the fuck knows? I will just say this. When you have, let's say you have half a dozen, semi-reasonable reasons for why you think something happened, It means you don't know what happened. Any of those things could have been the reason. And the fact that you can't differentiate them means you don't know. And if you can't find a way to disqualify some over others, then you'll never know. And that's what's happening here with precious metals. Like, it may be. Who the fuck knows? There's a dozen other reasons why precious metals could have sold off.
Well, I was hot earlier because my room likes to warm up, but then JFresh with that fat splash of cold water cooled me right back down. Thanks for that, JFresh. Nobody fucking knows. We posited some stuff earlier, and now you're positing it's Warsh. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah.
But because it could also be all these other things.
Well, would Warsh cause an $80 billion drop in delta exposure for GLD?
No.
That's a tough one. I don't think so. I think it's that's not enough to cause just a cataclysmic drop in those. I mean, sure, they were at high levels, but like that drop is not something that would happen from a Fed chair being announced.
Well, here's the thing is that if you look at Friday, like TLT didn't really do much. It was basically flat. It's been flat for days.
I think if anything, Warsh was just like kind of it tacked on to what was already going to happen.
Yeah.
Dollar didn't really do anything. I mean, like, you'd expect if it was Warsh and the hypothesis is that he's going to be strong the dollar, that the dollar and TLT, dollar would go up and TLT might go up, but they didn't really do anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
So I think we can actually exclude Warsh as the reason for the
I think it was panic selling. I mean, it's just like, so someone did sell like probably like a big person, and then other people are like seeing number go down. Over leveraged people are like, holy shit, now my number down. And so they smack the sell button to cut their losses, and then everyone, it's just a cascading world of shit.
The number of people long just infers that a shitload of people got margin called.
Yeah, they just got wrecked.
Yeah.
So that's really it. I mean,
stop loss to the max.
It was probably going to be a big drop anyways because there was no liquidity, but then it just got even worse by the fact that all the liquidity showed up at once. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the answer is no. Warsh was not the catalyst. I don't think so either. I think it'd be so bold as to say that.
Warsh, I will say something interesting about Warsh is he's an interesting pick. I mean, he was a big old hawk back during the GFC, and he's well known for kind of being the highest bidders paid fool. But the interesting thing about that is like his leanings are very hawkish, and frequently with like Fed chair nominations, you'll see them toe the party line until they get their nomination, but then they have complete independence.
Yep.
And I think if you go back and look at some of his academic research, some back when he was at I forget what partner group he was with, but he did some research papers with them and stuff, and some writings, and he's a big fan of strict monetary policy with very careful asset allocation and structured risk management. And so I think right now he's looking more dovish and touting the AI narrative and touting what Trump wants to hear in order for him to get that nomination. But I could see him flipping that around once he gets that nomination.
Yeah, but he's running up against a big machine, right? And so he's not.
What are they going to do? Sue him every week? I mean,
well, I'm just saying he still has to convince a bunch of other people to vote the way he wants, right?
And yeah. No, that's true.
All of those people are being advised by hundreds of other people, right? So there's a lot of inertia that even the most outrageous person coming in is still fighting so much inertia they can't do a whole lot right away. they
But
have to
the
push
Fed
hard for a long time. So maybe in a year or so, he might find his footing and actually start to get a narrative shift. But I don't think it's going to happen right away.
No, but I mean, the Fed president does have, I mean, the chair has they have a lot of ability to sway on the board, let's say.
They have
They-
more of a bully pulpit, that's for sure.
Yeah, they choose the pace in the course of the meetings, and they choose what, the topics of discussion, and they definitely can very easily structure the narrative that they want the Fed board to kind of follow. We've seen Powell do it over the years, and Powell may still be there, when this is said and done. He's on the board for a few more years. And speaking of Powell, what color was his tie?
Purple.
Oh shit! Wait, no, we gotta do the transition. What the fuck, guys?
Stupid bets. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose?
Yeah, JFresh wins. Purple tie.
Ron looks like he's dying, so I'm trying to.
Yeah, we're pushing hard on the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this shit up.
All right,
Sorry,
JFresh
Ron.
wins. What's the new stupid bet? Something about CapEx with Alphabet.
Yeah, Google spends more than within $1 billion plus or minus of their free cash flow. Of their net income. I'll say of their net income.
I want to say they spend 20% less.
So their CapEx is 80% of their FCF.
No, net income.
Okay.
20% less than JFresh is equivalent to net income. So you're saying CapEx equal to net income, basically?
Plus or minus 1 billion.
Plus or minus $1 billion. I'll say, CapEx 80% of net income.
I will
That's probably
say
gonna win. So Dork, you're fucked.
Yeah, I know. Gherk's over here just knowing what Alphabet's probably going to do. Then I'm going to say, because this is a stupid bet and I don't want to just agree with one of you, I'm going to say that they are going to spend more than their net income on CapEx. I'm going to say they're going to spend 20% more than their net income on CapEx.
Just say more than 1%.
CapEx 120%.
Yes.
Just say
Why
more
not?
than 101%.
I know I'm going to lose, but I have to pick a
Price is
side.
Right rules. Just say more than 101%.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
More than 101%. There we go. I know I'm going to
Does
lose.
that change mine?
I may as well
I don't
just
want to
say
change
it.
mine.
Yeah, don't.
I don't think you should.
Yeah,
I think you and I
want some middle ground for us to lose.
Dork,
Yeah.
what is like the if you could make the most insane bet? Because I mean, like with Google, I'm just trying to think of like what they could possibly do that would just be so insane. But
well, what would be insane is if they
could
actually
buy Anthropic.
Oh yeah, it's true. They could.
They just
Why
buy
would they
it.
want to?
I know they don't want to
Why
buy
not?
shit. They hate that they're doing this.
Because
Why don't they just try to like buy TSMC?
You know, if all of these monopolies were not trying to pretend like they weren't a monopoly, they would have already bought all of these people anyway.
Yeah,
It's true.
absolutely.
Ooh, what if they buy Palantir?
Ooh, that'd be weird.
What if they admit to violating TOS on
Palantir
YouTube?
actually makes good products. That might be a challenge.
That's true, they don't, but they do have a lot of data.
Yeah.
They have data Google doesn't have. Google likes data.
It's true. Palantir likes data.
Everybody likes data.
I hate it. All right. Well, I think we got our stupid bet. Ron, you got those written down. I'm 1% above. Gherk is 20% below. JFresh is spot on the money. They're spending every dollar they make. Yeah. Then that's the bet. Congratulations on winning last week, JFresh. Excellent bet.
It's the easiest win of all time. You knew he was going purple.
All right, let's call it
That
a wrap.
was a stupid bet.
Yeah. Play us out, Ron.
Thank you for listening to VolStars, a GammaStrike production. Please be sure to subscribe and check out our website at app.gammastrike.com.